I'm sorry about that. Okay, is the session being recorded now? Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Right. So that's another tag which does not need a closing tag. Link is the other one. So let's just focus on link now. We have linked the font file. We moved the CSS to style.css, and we added the font family from the Google font site, the property from over here, to sorry, to this to all the elements on this web page. So we have the font family pop-ins now, which we got from Google Fonts. So Ishil, you want to take the next thing? So I think we're gonna cover the tags now.
Yeah. So my voice is audible, right?
Yeah, you're audible.
All right. So the next thing we wanted to cover was the tags for displaying a sort of list, right? So there are mainly basically two tags which you can use to display lists. The first one is UL, right? So UL stands for an unordered list. So what that means is whatever items you place in here won't have a particular order or number assigned to them. So to place an item in a list, what you do is wrap them in another tag which is called an li tag, which is short for a list item, right? So here I'm going to add a couple of list items, just random and item 2
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
and this one. Right. So Anand, can you just refresh the page? Right. So you can see there are three list items there, namely item 1, 2, and 3. Right. So, and you can see there is no particular number assigned to them, no index assigned to them, as it is an unordered list. Now, what I can do to assign a number to them directly is I'm going to copy the list, and instead of an unordered list, I am going to make this an ordered list, right? So I'm going to change the UL to an OL, which is ordered list, and everything else is exactly the same. And you can see the difference on the web page. For the unordered list, there are just bullet points there, and for the ordered list, there are particular indexes for each item, right? So now another thing comes for the unordered list. You might be wondering why, if you can change the bullet point and make it into something else, right? So we're going to come to the style file, and I'm going to select the unordered list, right? And for particularly for the unordered list, there is a style property called list style, right? Now, by default, this is called disk. Sorry. So when we refresh, obviously nothing changes, right? So Anant, if you can just show what other
I did
properties are
refresh.
there.
Okay, right. So if I do a list style, and you can see the properties now. So there's circles, decimal leading zero, disk, Georgian, inside, lower alpha, and Armenian. So which one you
Right.
want to try?
So we can choose anyone. For now, let's choose circle.
Okay, let's choose circle.
Yeah. Right. So what is circle? Circle is just a circle without any filling. Right. So you can see now the style of the list item has been changed. The bullet points are just a circular border. You can go on and test every one of these list style for yourselves also. Right. And another property which you might want to use many times is, instead of exactly writing circle, Armenian, or disk, you can actually just provide the property, the value none. Right. So now when you refresh the page, the list won't have any points. Right. The the item text stays, but there are no bullet points or any indicator of such. So places where you might want to use this is, imagine you have a navigation bar, right? So all the buttons there are a list, but you don't actually see a bullet point or an index assigned to them. So this is where the list style property with the value none is used.
Right, and like as you can see, so UL, LI, OL, we're talking about them specifically because they come with some default styling. So you can provide these properties to any other element as well. But as you can see, there's a certain amount of margin that these elements have. That there's some padding. That there are these numbers and different kind of stuff. So these are the default styling which you can then explore what UL, LI, and OL have. So if we just go to inspect, you can check the exact styling that the browser has for these. So for the UL, you can see that the default styling is available over here. So user agent style sheet. The user agent in this case is Chrome. So this is what the default styling it has for a UL element. A display of block, list style type is disk. Then there are certain margin properties, block start, block end, inline start, inline end. So you can look these up, and padding inline start. So there are some certain default properties that are like given to all of these elements, and you can check these from the inspect element tab. And the default values are going to be on the user agent style sheet. So yeah, you can also check exactly what these stylings are and then like change those and stuff. Right, Ishit, back to you.
Yeah, so I think the next thing we can cover is actually margin and padding only, right?
Right.
So in unordered list only, what I'm going to do is select the li, which are the list items, and as you saw that there are some predefined margin and padding given to them, right? So as you can see, Anand placed another selector. What this does is it selects all the li which are a child of the ul tag. All right. So now we're going to
So
give them
just a bit
a
more
mark.
specifically, these are
Yeah.
supposed to be direct children of the UL tag. So if I
Yeah.
remove, so yeah, okay, Ishit can demonstrate that.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. So just a second. What I'm going to do is just to demonstrate that, give a color of say purple. Right. And now if you refresh the page, all the list items in the unordered list are purple. But now in the index.html, if I place a list item another list item, say sub item, and now when we refresh the page,
But this is also going to inherit the styling from this. So I think this will also have the color. Well, let's
uh,
check. Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
So it's inheriting from that element, but it's not like directly being applied to this. So what we can do, yeah, so we can make another div away and then put the li.
Yeah, so now the li is not a direct child of the unordered list.
So you can see that we have the unordered list. Then inside of that unordered list, we have a div element and then we have an li. So in our styling, we have a UL and the li has to be a direct child of the UL. So saving both these files, we can now see that the div li is not getting the color. If I now remove this and just do UL space li, then it's also going to select that. So now it selects all the LIs which are inside of that UL element, just maybe not just directly inside.
Yeah, right. So on to the next one. The next one, what I was going to do is the margin property, right? So you can just type out margin and give any value that you want. So for now, what I'm going to do is use the value 50 pixels and save this. So what this does is gives a margin to all the li in all directions, left, right, top, and bottom. Right. Now there are obviously cases you might not want to place a margin in all the four directions. So for that, you can just type out the margin property, the margin value want for every single direction, right? So what I'm going to do is the first one is top, the second one is right, the third one is bottom, and the last one is for the left. So now what I've done is the first value is for the top margin, the second value is for the right margin, the third is for the bottom, and the last one is for the left margin. So now if we refresh the page, right, so the left margin goes to 0. You can also obviously give these margins directly by selecting the margin bottom property or the margin right property and everything else, right? One other way you can use this is if you want to give a margin to both bottom and top, but not the left and right. So you can just provide two values here. And what this will do is the first value will correspond to the margin bottom and margin top, and the second value will correspond to the margin left and right. So right now, if you refresh the page, nothing will change because the margin is set. But what I'm going to do is give margin top to 0 and the second value to say 30 pixels. And you'll see that there is a margin on both sides and the top and bottom margin gets removed. All right. So similarly, like margin, there is another property called margin. So Anand, can you show the box model in the inspect element?
Right. So just a sec.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, you can go on and explain this.
So as you can see, the LIs have a display of list item, and they do have some specified width and height argument values over here, which you can see as being 228 into 25. Maybe it's a bit small for you to be able to see properly. But when I hover over the LI element and it's giving me the properties over here, so it's showing me that it's a 228 into 25 width and height element. What that tells me that this is a box model. So again, as we discussed in the previous session, it has these dimensions. So given that, I can actually come over here. So this is another thing that you can do when you are just experimenting. So we can just come over here and give it a width of say 30 pixels. So now you can see that again, just it's acting like a display block element. So now, like you can see that the display list item acts quite a bit like a display block item. So it's taking all the space which it can on its line inside of the list. And since I gave it a width of 30 pixels, it's the rest of the value is being given to the margin right. So talking about the box model though, if I so to demonstrate that, I can actually use the divs we had before. So using any one of the divs, let me just expand it a bit. So using this div, what I'll do is I'll also do margin of auto just to demonstrate exactly. Okay, so instead of what I'll do is I'll give it a margin of 10 pixel, 20 pixel, and a padding of 30 pixel and 50 pixel. So you can see this over here. Now I have the box selected. Let me also give it a color of black. Oh, background color, I'm sorry. Not a color. So a color corresponds to the color of the text. Background corresponds to the color of the actual element. So for this particular element, which I have selected, you can see that the element itself is 300 by 60 pixels. Padding and margin. So I'm just going to explain that a bit. So the element itself has a 300 by 60 dimension, 300 width and 60 height in pixels. Then outside of the actual element, just outside of the actual element comes the padding. The padding is 50 pixels width wise and 30 pixel height wise on each side. So over here, so if I just have the padding selected, you can see that the green box you see is the padding of the element. Okay, so the green box is the padding of the element and it's still inside of the element. So the element had 3300 by 60. Now just outside of the actual content, we have this. So let me explain so just a little better, a lot better actually. So explain the concepts. So in the box model, we have something called a content box. Then we have the padding box. Then we have the margin. Oh, so yeah, sorry. For the first the border box, and then the margin. Margin. We can call it a margin box, but this one is not actually like a box itself. So the content box is the 300 by 60. So it's just the div itself. The div itself, without anything else, would have taken this much space. So that is 300 by 60. That is the content of the div. Now, just outside of it is the padding. So the green box, the boundaries of the green box constitute the padding. The padding in this case includes the 30 and 30 pixels on the top and bottom and the 50 pixels on the sides. So that makes the whole element plus the padding take a width of 400 pixels. So 300 plus 50 plus 50 and a height of 60 plus 30 plus 30. So that's 120 pixels. So that becomes the padding box. Now, just outside of that, we generally have the border. Right now, I don't have a border, but if I give it a border, if I give it a border of 2 pixels, solid and red. So now you can see this also has a border. So right outside of it is the border. Now again, this isn't generally considered a box, so you can actually remove the box on the border and the margin. But till the padding, we're actually considering something which has vertical and horizontal dimensions and which you can manipulate. The border itself, it's just that line. You can't actually put anything inside of the border. Inside of the content box and the padding box, you can. And the margin. So the margin, it's just space around the box itself. It's not something that you can control from the styling of the whatever appears from over there. You can't actually control from this box. You can only control how far along would something not be around this box. So that's the margin in this sense. Any doubts in just the four terms over here?
Yeah, so there was one doubt, the difference between the padding and margin. So actually, what we can do is display that using one of the divs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do is just place a div in the index.html with the class of, say, box model.
Okay, you can keep implementing till then. So just explaining this till Ishit is writing the code. Uh, again, as you can see, the div itself takes a space of 300 by 60. The padding is the space which we want. So consider it like this. So we have a article page. Now the article page in the article page, we do not want the text to be touching the corners or touching the sides. So it should be some space away from the sides. So that's why we give the padding. So it's like cushioning, right? So when you have like a box and you are packing something, like when you order a TV or something, you have cushioning inside of the box, but it's still inside of the box, still inside of the packaging. It's just cushioning the TV or whatever you have ordered. So that is, in this case, you can think of that as the padding. The border you can think about as the delivery box itself. That's the border. And outside, when you are carrying the box somewhere, the space you give from another box, you can consider the margin. In this case, the delivery guy might not give it a lot of space, or they might have it close and close. But that's basically what the margin is supposed to do, right? So that's that. Ishit, you
Yeah.
can go ahead.
So I wrote out some content. Firstly, in the index.html, I just added a div element with the class of box model, and there is some text called content in it, right? And in the style.css, for now, what I've done is selected this class name box model and given it a property of height 30 pixels, width 30 pixels, and a background color of red. Everything else is commented out right now, so don't worry about that. So Anand, if you can just reload the page to show this div. Right, so let
I
me
did,
just
yeah.
increase the size here. Uh, let's make this 150. Right, so now you can see that there is a square div of 150 by 150 pixels and there is some content in it. Now we can give a margin of 50 pixel to it, and you can see that the space around the div, outside of the div, gets the property of margin, which is a spacing of 50 pixels on all sides. Right, so can you just reload? Right, so you can see the div moves 50 pixels. It basically has a spacing of 50 pixels from every single side. You can even see it in his
Uh,
console.
so let's make it a display of inline block. So it'll just have the margin that we give it.
Right.
Okay, wait, so is this not big enough? Yeah, right.
Right, so it
It's
has the margin of 50 pixels on all sides. Now, the next property was padding, right? Now, if I uncomment the padding, I've given the same value, which is 50 pixels. Now, you'll notice that the spacing won't be on the outside of the div, but instead on the inside, right? Now, the content of the div is 50 pixels each side inside the div. And there is also a margin outside the div. So that's the difference between the margin and padding. All right. So now the last property of the box model is the border. Right now I've given a border of 2 pixels with blue color. Right. Now what are these three properties? The first property is the width of the border. The second is the styling of the border, if it is solid or is it dashed. Right. And the third property is the color of the border. Now these can be in any order. The CSS file renders that out if it is in any order that you provide. Right. So right. Just to show that and just increase the width of the border, I made it 20 pixels, and you can see in the web browser that there is a 20 pixel border there. So that's the box model for you.
So yeah, somebody's asking if we put minus 50 pixels, will the box shrink?
Yeah.
So
See,
let's
so
first
that's
make
a
it 0.
property.
No, so minus 50 does not make the box shrink. Uh, so there are some inconsistencies from the last time I remember. Yeah, so a minus of padding does not work, but a minus of margin does work. So if I give it a minus margin of 50 pixels, it does go a bit to the top and a bit to the left. Now, this is an inconsistency, so this might not work on all browsers. Last I checked, it might have been updated. So last I checked, I don't think it works very well on Safari. So just keep that in mind. So there might be some inconsistencies. All right, so back to you, Ishit.
Right. So now I guess you can go over the forms tags.
So form tags and stuff.
Yeah.
So how about we actually start with the web page and put the form tags over there?
Yeah, sure. Actually, that's a good idea. Right.
Right.
So you can show what we've built till now.
So let's build the web page again, or should let's just build
Yeah,
the
we'll
page
build
again,
it
right?
again. Just let's just show them what exactly have we cloned the Google News to.
Okay, the one we already have. So okay, let's show that. So this is just something that we made like in an evening. So the news should be appearing anytime now. There should not be any. Yeah. So we're using the Hacker News API, and we'll explain all of that. So this element we're using an input tag and stuff. So this is what we are gonna build. We are also gonna add the weather and some other functionality. But this is like the very basic stuff that like we took like an hour and a half to like build. So yeah, so this is where we are going to be using what we are going to be talking about, the form tags. So like just to quickly implement the form tags over here. Now the form tag itself does not take any space. So this is what we call like the link tags and stuff. So this is uh, what do we exactly call this? Ishit, do you remember? So
Uh,
it more like it gives some information to the browser. So it is display block, but it does not display anything by itself. So it's more like a div, but it serves more functionality.
yeah.
So yeah, I'll just create a form for now. I'll add an input. The now this input tag would have some attributes, so I can make it of these different types. So this can be a button, a checkbox, a color selector, date selector, date time, and there's a lot of stuff over here. So email, validation, file selector, and a lot of stuff. So for right now, we're gonna use a text input. We're gonna close this. We'll also give it a placeholder. Now you see the input element also does not need closing. So if I try to close something over here, it's directly giving me the form element. So the input element does not need any closing either because it cannot actually contain anything inside of it. It conveys a special meaning, and the browser renders the input element like and does not check for if anything's inside of it. And we're gonna give this a placeholder of please type something here. So just without any additional styling, let's just see what this does. So it gives me an input element over here and nothing else. So text input, which says please type something here, and when I start typing, the placeholder disappears. And this is the default styling for a text input in Chrome. Uh, so a question from Sarthak, whenever we want to take input, do we need to put it inside form tag? No, we do not. But there's, again, as I said, there's a very specific function that the form tag has, and that is so when we have like an input of type is equal to submit. So now we have an input of type submit. Let's give it a value of submitter, and the form has an action of so we're going to give a hashtag over here, so it just gets us back to this particular file. And I'm going to explain what this action attribute is doing right now. So if I refresh now, you can see that there's an input, and then so there's a text input, and then there's a button. So this button is actually getting rendered from this submit type input. So you can change how the input is rendered by changing the type over here. If I made it say a date, it'll again change over here. But right now, for our purposes, we need a submit type input. So submit input, whenever you click this button, it'll try to submit whatever the enclosing form is. So whatever the closest enclosing form of this type submit input is, that action will get called. So right now it has a hashtag. So it'll just get us back to this page. So if I click this button, you can now see that there's a hashtag over here. So it didn't actually send us anywhere. It just added a hashtag in the address bar. And but if I had like say submit.php, I do not actually have this file, so this would give me an error. If I reload and then I click submit, file was not found, but it'll try to go to that URL and submit this, like whatever the inputs are for this particular form, whatever inputs are inside of this form. Now, if I also specify the method, so the method is going to be get. And yeah, so now let me save something over here. So random text and submit this. So now you can see that it's still trying to submit this, but like nothing is really happening. Now for inputs, what is also important is that we give them a name. Now I could give this a name of name. So now if my type text input has a name of name, and I reload the page, and I put something here, like if I put Ishit base one and I submit, now in the address bar, like if I just copy the last part of the address bar so that you can see clearer, you can see that this is like it added to submit.php a question mark, and the name is equal to Ishit plus base one. So this is how we make a request to the backend. This is how we submit a form, and the backend is then supposed to check the URL for get requests or check the request for post variables as well. So we're not going to talk about post variables right now because we're not talking about the backend. But using forms is how we communicate actions, or we like send data through. So that's why forms are important, because they automatically, like, they give you an easy way of sending the data through and automatically just serialize. Like you saw, the name is equal to Ishit base file. We didn't have to actually write any code over there, but it automatically serialized whatever named inputs were inside of this form. So get and post, again, we're not going to talk about that right now.
Yeah.
We'll
So
probably be
there were
talking about
couple of
that in the end of
questions.
this series. Yeah.
Yeah. So there were a few questions. So one was where is the input stored? So while you're on the front end, the input isn't stored anywhere particularly until and unless you actually send it to a backend, right? So as Anant has entered my name in the input box, when he refreshes the page, the value, my name won't be there anymore, right? You can see that. So the next was, will the action send it to the backend? Yes, uh, the action is supposed to send your input to another location, be it a backend or another web page or another file in your web page. Like you can see, there are web pages with multiple pages, right? So the home page, the login page, etc.
So yeah,
Now,
we have mostly everything we had for this session covered. Let's now actually start the project from scratch. That's the only thing that we haven't done yet.
yeah,
So I don't think we'll be able to cover everything over here, but let's just try to get the header done.
yeah,
Right, Ishit?
exactly.
So let's remove all of this.
I think we can make actually another file so as this all
Okay, so I'll
stays there
rename this
only.
then. Right. So I'll
Yeah,
rename this file index1 and make another file. So styles is also gonna be renamed to style1, and then another file. So just for convenience, I'm gonna like copy all of this, put it away, and then remove the contents instead of like writing all of this again.
yeah,
This is gonna be changed to style.css.
yeah. Uh,
Let's close the README for now. Style1 as well. Right. So now we have an empty page. If I refresh, this should be empty. So let me close the inspect element. When you type Ishit Biswal in the input, can we do that by clicking the submitter? The page will take us to Google and will show us the search is of Ishit Biswal. Yes, we can. So how about I? Hmm. So how about we discuss that like right after the end of like 6 minutes, because we don't have enough time left. I just want to start something right now, and we'll definitely show you how.
yeah,
So let's just make a div. So Ishit, how about you make the you make whatever elements you want to make, and I'll keep explaining as you keep typing. So that might be a bit
yeah.
faster.
All right.
So now we're making a div for the header. So if I just show you what we had before. So this over here, DSC news and the search bar. You keep typing, Ishit. So I'll keep explaining the search bar and stuff. This is the header, like the top bar. So Ishit's going for the full form over here. So developer student clubs.
And yeah,
Rem-
H2, I don't think we discussed it. What H2 is basically a heading tag. So by default, there is some styling to a heading tag. Right. It's the font weight is bold, the font size is much bigger. So I guess you can, Anand, can you just show it on the web page?
Yeah, just a second. I'll also mention all the heading tags over here.
Yeah. So you can give different heading tags. So right now I've used an H2, and there are from H1 to H6, not 7.
Oh, sorry, that's
Yeah. So there are six
I don't
heading
use them
types,
much.
and the only differences between them is the font size. So H1 has the largest font size, and H6 has the smallest font size.
So yeah, we just use the heading tags for convenience. Ishit, you can keep moving forward.
All right.
Uh, so we have that header tag. Now he's adding an input for this. So he's adding a div first. So why is he adding a div? Is because we have this search button over here. Now the search button isn't actually a part of like the placeholder or whatever text there is. So to contain this search button as well, we have to have multiple elements and not just the input element. So Ishit is now going to make the input element, which is just going to make this input without the search icon over there. So placeholder search. You can see the code he's writing over there. So that's the basic HTML for the header. Now, Ishit, let's not add the font awesome icon right now. Let's
Yeah.
do that next in the next session. Let's just make the search bar and the H2 and add the box shadow, perhaps.
Yeah. So can you just move on to the web page there?
Right. So let's show them what.
And
Yeah. So
Sayam,
we don't have
no,
any styling,
the
right?
icon won't be coming from Java or JavaScript. We'll be showing that how to put custom icons in your web page tomorrow, since we don't have much time.
Yeah. So also forget about Java in this course. Java and JavaScript are completely different.
Right.
But still, we're also not going to use JavaScript for the icons. So now Ishit is just going to write some CSS. So style.css, not style1.css, by the way. Style, yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is select.
So again, just to show you guys, we have the header div with the ID header. So again, it's not a, yeah, it's an ID header. And then inside of that header div, we have an H2 tag, which has developer student clubs. And then beside that H2 tag, we have a div with the ID search bar. And inside of this, we have an input. So let me just show you so as he's coding on the left, let me show you the hierarchy on the right on Chrome. If I could just make this a little bit bigger. Yeah, I can. So inside header, we have the H2. Beside the H2, we have the search bar div, and then we close the header. You can see the hierarchy on the right, and the CSS is writing on the left. Sarthak, Bootstrap is used for a lot of stuff. Some icons are also available over there. Uh, but we have much better resources, particularly for icons. We're going to introduce you to those resources in this workshop itself. Bootstrap we are not including because isn't it does not provide something which we can't get in a similarly easier fashion. Like it's just CSS, and we want to explain the CSS for you. So we're not using Bootstrap for this session, but later on we're going to be using Font Awesome. Don't worry about it right now, but that's going to help us get all the icons we need in a very easy fashion.
Yeah, right. So can you just see if the background color is there on the search bar?
Yeah, the background
Right.
color is changing on the search bar element. So yeah, he's adding the styling for the input. Till then, what I'll do is I'll add the styling for the header itself and the header search bar. So this might be a bit fast for everyone. We'll cover everything in the end. So the search bar itself needs a display of inline block. And we're not actually giving this the final styling because the final styling is going to be again a bit different. It's going to use some styles that we haven't covered yet. So sorry, we don't want to change the display over here, but for the H2, we want to also give it a display inline block. For the search bar, say border none. Let's also introduce another property, like a quick one, border radius, and you'll see what this does. So I'll give it a border radius of 5 pixels and a padding again of 5 pixels or 10 pixels, let's say. So that should do it. Yeah. So we have a very basic like div inside of which we have a heading, and beside of that heading we have an input. So both the input, the div inside of which the input tag is, and the h2 tag, they both have display inline block. Because of this, they both are able to coexist on the same line, and all of this inside of the header tag. So now in the next session, we are going to just continue on this and like make this, like there's a lot of things like in our website. So this is staying on the top. So this is fixed over there. Now, exactly what's the best way to do it in this case? We're going to discuss that. How best to position all of this in that top bar. We're going to discuss that in the next session. And till then, we're going to upload this code. So just like we covered a lot of code right now. So just the new property like over here, the border radius property, you can say that there's a very slight curvature to the input bar now. So that curvature is because of the border radius, and then there's a padding. So I use the padding so that like it does not become too ugly. But there's a very slight curvature on the input bar. That is because of the border radius. And I don't think we have any new properties other than that.
Yeah.
No, we
So
don't.
yeah, so we did do a bit faster this code, the project code. So if anyone has any doubt, please ask, because yeah, obviously we'll be available on WhatsApp and our emails, but if it's better that you ask here right now, because just now that we wrote the code, it'll be much better.
Yeah. Like there was
Yeah.
a lot of it. There's nothing new, but there's a lot of it. So don't get confused, but do ask right now.
Brother, I'm audible.
Also, yeah, you're audible.
Brother, when we put the search icon in the first header, how is it gonna take input? You said you're not gonna that input is not going to be stored in anywhere, no?
We'll show you. We'll show you when the time comes. We'll show you exactly how everything functions. So, like if I just show how the input works over here, so we are not actually gonna submit it anywhere. But if I like start typing, you can see that only the news items that match whatever is over there are shown on the bottom. So we're going to show you exactly how to do this. This is using JavaScript. So don't get confused, but we're not actually submitting the search terms from here anywhere.
Okay. Okay, thank you, brother.
Sure. Anybody else? Guys, any doubts? Anything? If we still have Sayam over here, was the pace better today, or like I guess it might have been just a bit worse? But yeah, we need to get at least this much done.
Yeah, so it was better. But don't
So Mr.
worry,
Sayam saying it
actually,
was
the
better.
agenda was also a bit much today. We weren't able to cover everything, but tomorrow we'll be starting with JavaScript, and the main focus will be on that only. So don't worry, we'll cover all the basics that you need in JavaScript.
Yeah, we'll definitely cover like all from the basics themselves. So a lot of CSS and JavaScript, like most of the HTML and CSS we've explained. JavaScript is now going to be the prime focus. Just to summarize exactly what we did, Ishit, do you want to do that?
Sure. Just one moment. Someone had a doubt that does the name of the CSS have to be style.css? No, the name can be anything, but the extension should always be .css. Right. So
Great to hear that,
just
Sayam.
to
Like we definitely do want to challenge you guys as well, because like I sure hope you get, like, none of you are just doing CS just to get through. Like I definitely want like each and every one of you to at least be like, try to be your best, want to be your best, enjoy this stuff. And like once you get really good at it, right, like you start enjoying it like anything, and you start making your own projects and stuff. So like let me not rant a lot. So Ishit, back to you.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So just to summarize everything today, the first thing we did was we covered how to import custom font family from Google Fonts into your project, right? Then we went over the list tags, which is the unordered list, the ordered list, and the list
Ishit,
items. Yeah. Hello. Yep.
y- y-
Sorry, I guess your voice is lagging. Can you please repeat?
you I'm not sure. Like I lost you over there for a bit, or my network might not have been great. So
Okay.
let's just start
Anyways,
again.
just yeah. So first we went over how to import custom font families from Google Fonts into your projects by using the link tag. Then we went over the list tags, which are the UL, the unordered list, the OL, which is the ordered list, and LI, which is the list item. And we discussed a bit about their predefined styles and how to modify them. Then we covered the box model. I'm just going to write it here, which consists of the border, the margin, and the padding. Right. We weren't able to cover the box shadow, that's fine. So
Mhm.
we discussed how to customize the border, what exactly is the difference between the margin and the padding, and how to give different values to each of them. Right. Next, we went into what are forms, how to use the forms, how to use the input, what are the different types of input, and I don't think we were able to cover button, but
Yeah, we did
that's
not cover
fine.
button today. That's like, yeah, we can talk about that later on.
Yeah, so we covered forms and the different types of input, the form method, the form action, and the different types of input. Right. Then we came on to what exactly we are going to build. Right. We showed you what we've built for you in our evening. Then we started the project from scratch, where we built the most basic header for now, which included the heading tag for the project and the search bar. And we also introduced a new property, which was the border radius. So yeah, that was about it for today, right?
Yeah, that's about it for today. Uh, yeah, we did not cover the button tag. There's not much else to it. We can talk about it later on. Any doubts? Yeah, do text us on WhatsApp and stuff. And that's mostly it for today. So we can stop the recording.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for attending. I really wish to like hope to see you guys again for the rest of the workshop, so that like